Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, before we commence, all the brothers on that side as well who are sitting on the side of the wall, they can come forward inshallah. Those who are leaning on the side of the stair, inshallah, and come forward and you see your beautiful faces. Inshallah. You can pull the rest as well, inshallah. You can forward, inshallah. So, you know, when we compact each other, it's more blessed, more virtuous. When we sit far from each other, our hearts become distant from each other as well. And this is why there's no unity in Islam no more. This is one of the reasons why the ulama always request that you come forward and come closer to the Imam, so that you can hear him properly and that you can see his astonishing face. My face is not astonishing, but inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا أرحم الراحمين. وقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم والتين والزيتون إلى آخر الآيات. صدق الله العظيم. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. We begin this blessed Jum'ah by mentioning the most majestic of all names, the most merciful is He, the most gracious is He, none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most high is He. We send abundant blessings and salutations upon the last and final Prophet, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the cream of creation, the pride of mankind, the intercessor of sinners on the day of judgment. We send abundant blessings and salutations upon his beloved family members and his noble companions. We ask and we beseech and we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, to make it easy for us and not to make it difficult. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us knowledge and to grant us understanding. Ameen thumma ameen. My dear esteemed and revered and most dignified and esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, as you all are aware and have heard that indeed the Muslim world is in turmoil and our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine are being massacred. But for us to comprehend and understand the outcome of the situation between Israel and Palestine, you have to go back in history. This is the only way we will truly understand this war between Palestine and Israel. You have to understand your history. And as it is mentioned, that history always repeats itself. So indeed, in the early 1930s, there was a settlement in Palestine, and this settlement was full of Jews. And during World War II, during the Holocaust, when the Jews was being crucified by Hitler and the Nazis, where did the Jews run to? Where did the German Jews run to? Most of them ran to some of the islands in Cuba, but they were turned away. They ran to USA, and even the Americans turned them away. Look up in your history and you will find this. But when they went to Palestine and they boarded that ship, many of the Palestinians came rushing to assist and aid them. And they only began with a little settlement in Palestine. And from that little settlement in Palestine during the year 1948, which the Israelis called the War of Israel Independence, and in Arabic it is called Nakba, which translates as destruction. Look into the history. In the year 1948, when the Jews started to migrate to Palestine from Germany, when they were being persecuted by the Nazis during the year of the Holocaust, during World War II, where they went into Palestine. And from that settlement, the Jews started to gather many of the land of the Palestinians. And today, this is still as an ethnic cleansing. Remember the term. It is termed as an ethnic cleansing. When all of the Jews started to take the land of the Palestinians forcefully, they started to take the land of the Palestinians forcefully from that little settlement. And at the year 1948, during the Israel War of Independence, in terms of the Nakba, they started to massacre the Palestinians. So much so that approximately 700,000 Palestinians were displaced and started to migrate elsewhere from that little plot of land. So some of the Jews and the Christians, they have the term, they have that understanding, and they have that saying that Israel is the blessed land. But Israel, during the year 1940s and 1930s, there was no land called Israel. How can the land of Israel be blessed? Ask yourself these questions. Go back into history for you to understand this war between Palestine and Israel. How can Israel be blessed if there was no Israel before? When we look in the life of Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Moses, when Prophet Musa alayhi salam, way back into history, many years before, where were the Israelites? Where were the children of Israel? They followed Musa alayhi salam. They never had any land of their own. They never possessed any land of their own. They were always migrants, always searching for land. When we look at the time of Dawood alayhi salam, Prophet David, why do you think us as Muslims, we sanctify and we honor the Palestinians and we honor the land of the Palestinians? Why do you think, as a Muslim? Many of the prophets, many of the Anbiya alayhimus salam, most of them lived in the land of Palestine. And many of them were also killed in the land of Palestine. Approximately 70 prophets were killed in the land of Palestine. Go back into history if you want to understand this concept of the war between the Palestinians and the Israelites. But Israel was never there before. Look at the time of Dawood alayhi salam, David. When David was constructing Baytul Maqdis, which is known as Masjid al-Aqsa in our present time, he did not complete Masjid al-Aqsa whilst he was building. And his son, who was his son? Sulaiman alayhi salam, Prophet Solomon. When Prophet Solomon completed the construction of Baytul Maqdis, Masjid al-Aqsa, what was his dua? He supplicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High MC. He says, "Oh Allah, grant me three things. Wisdom when no one else can have." And he was granted this. Prophet Solomon, he was known for his wisdom. Grant me a kingdom whereby no one else may have after me. No one else got a kingdom like Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam after him. And grant the person and the individual who desires to travel to this masjid. Which masjid? The masjid that he just built. Masjid al-Aqsa, Baytul al-Muqaddas. That indeed the one who intends to travel and to perform salah in this masjid, let him leave this masjid as though his mother has given birth to him. What does that mean? It means that all of his sins will be forgiven. And then the Prophet ﷺ indeed too was accepted. And he said, Arju, I hope that the third will be accepted. Do you know why? That is why we as Muslims honor and sanctify this place of Palestine. This is why we as Muslims sanctify and honor Masjid al-Aqsa. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, the Westerners are making it seem as though we Muslims are terrorists. But again, go back in history when France went to Algeria and destroyed and massacred many Algerians. Where was the terrorism at that time? Go back into history, my dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam. When the US was not getting their way, and they went into Sudan, and they went into Afghanistan, and they went into Syria, and they went into Yemen. Where was the terrorism at that time? Go back into history, my dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam. The media portrayed that Hamas strike missiles into Israel and they kill children. Go back into 1948 during the year of Nakba. How many children and mothers and sisters and daughters and wives have you killed? They are not seeing this. They are not remembering the history. They are not remember when the US themselves turned away the Jews from Germany. They are not remembering this. And who was the one took care of them, brought them into their country, where from that little settlement, then they call this settlement Israel. And then the Jews and the Christians are over say that Israel is the promised land. What promised land? What promised land? There was no land. We give you all this. We show you all compassion. We show you all the mercy. We show you all the care. We show you all the love. And this is what Muslims is all about. But yet still they want to take us out of that land. They want to remove us. This is why Allah, our creator, our nourisher, our cherisher, our sustainer, the majesty of the entire universe, he says in Surah 15, the chapter concerning the Fajr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, he says what? وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ. He took an oath on the fig and the olive. For those who have memorized the surah and you have read the translation, you will see that as if Allah have taken an oath on the fig and the olive. Why did Allah took an oath on a fig and an olive, on two fruits? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the wisdom that he took an oath on the fig was due to the fact on the day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam, his beloved wife, and they ate from the forbidden tree. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them acknowledge and recognize their nakedness. And due to the reason of understanding and seeing their nakedness, they were covered in shame. And they took the leaves of the fig tree and they covered themselves with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, he says what? وَيَقْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَ مِنْ وَرَقٍ جَنَّةٍ. That indeed, due to the shame, due to the modesty, they took the leaves of the fig tree and covered themselves with it. This is one of the reasons Allah took an oath on the fig. And then he says, وَالزَّيْتُونِ, and the olive. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took an oath on the olive? When Allah was describing his light of Noor, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing this light to Ibrahim alayhi salam, Prophet Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentioned and he says, يُوقَدُ شَجَرَةٍ مُبَارَكَةً زَيْتُونَةً. That indeed the light, my light is like that light that which shines beautifully due to the olive oil. My light is like that light that shines beautifully when it is lit with the olive oil. And another wisdom, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took an oath on the fig and the olive. The commentators have mentioned, the Mufassirun, the likes of Imam Qurtubi, the likes of Imam Ismail ibn Kathir and others, they have mentioned, it says the Zaytun, the olive. What is meant here is Masjid al-Aqsa, Baytul Muqaddas. So we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking an oath on Baytul Muqaddas, the land of Palestinians. This is why you and I, us as Muslims, we have to stand together in unity to show our support to our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. If you do not want to show support, if you cannot even put a WhatsApp status in support of Palestine, if you cannot even post a profile picture in support of Palestine, are you even a true believer? Are you even a true believer? There will be protests today at 2:30, and there will also be protests on Sunday around the Queen's Park Savannah. Let us see how much of us as Muslims will support. Let us see how much as Muslims we will protest to show the significance of the Palestinian people. Many of us, during the time of voting, during the politician period, we go marching with our favorite politicians. We go all over in protest to vote this one, to vote that one. Let us see how much you can march for your Muslim brothers and sisters in Islam. Let us see how true your iman, your faith is. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, we have to understand the reason why we uphold the land of Palestine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَبَارَكْنَا حَوْلَهُ, and we have blessed the outskirts of this land. Surah Bani Israel, the chapter on Isra. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is saying, He has blessed these lands. What lands? Palestine, Sham, Syria, Jordan. All of these lands are blessed in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. My dear beloveds, let this sink in. We can talk on and on about the massacre of even in the 1940s until 2023. But only now the world see that how Hamas strike Israel. Where was Israel in the early 1930s? Where was Israel in the early 1920s? They never had land. This is why they're always migrating all over. And they have that wisdom, they have that intellect, that when they migrate all over, they connect themselves to powerful people. They connect themselves to powerful people. This is why the Americans, many of the taxation of their money goes into the mining of weapons for the Israelites. But many of us are afraid to protest against the US because we fear that our visa become rejected. That's how we are. We are afraid because we only pass through the airport, we don't want to be hijacked. You fear people, but you do not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. See? My dear beloveds, ask yourselves, truly ask yourselves, where is your iman? Where is your faith? Loving your brother what you love for yourself is part of iman, is part of faith. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to inculcate in our hearts the truest form of iman, the truest form of love for our Muslim brothers and sisters, not only in Palestine, but every single place and world part of the world where there is Muslims. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, accept. وَأَقُولُ قَوْلِي هَذَا أَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ.